This segment is brought to you by Barker Honda. It's better at Barker.
Today marks the 200th anniversary of this site, of the building of this home, which was built in circa 1825. So we are marking a 200-year milestone by celebrating with all the culture and history that this site made a connection with throughout the Bayou Lafourche region. So the E.D. White site itself and its connections with the history of Bayou Lafourche, the history of the sugarcane industry, the history of the city of Thibodaux, all connects. And so all of the social and economic growth of this region, many decisions and many influences were as a result of the governor, Edward Douglas White, who was our 10th Louisiana governor. He bought the home in 1828, and then his son, Edward Douglas White Jr., became the United States Supreme Court Chief Justice, and he had many decisions as well. So the house itself was originally a Creole cottage. It was smaller than this, and when Governor White brought his wife down, Catherine, she wanted to enlarge the house. Now, he happened to pass before that project was completed, but she finished the project and made it to the size that it is today, which is a Greek Revival style architectural structure. So the museum itself is open daily from 10 to 4:30. Tours are free. There's no cost to come in. It's open on Tuesdays through Saturdays, and it's closed on each federal holiday. But 24, just about all year long, the site is open except for those few holidays when it's closed. But it's a full day where you can come in, you can picnic on the grounds. We have a Bayou Side Park on the Bayou Side, and we have all of the tables and picnic areas here, and we're welcoming school groups, we're welcoming civic groups to come hold meetings here, and it's a beautiful venue for an outdoor wedding or a reception. Okay, now we're inside this historic home, and we're entering the main corridor that actually has some Harper prints here, which are older prints, but they represent different scenes, not necessarily just here on Bayou Lafourche, but definitely vintage scenes and historic scenes, some of waterways, some of when the early inhabitants, such as the Chitimacha tribe and so forth, would have lived here, and pictures of how perhaps that they lived when they lived on the property. The room that would have been the Chief Justice's bedroom at one point. Now, the furniture has all been removed from the site, but as you take your tour in this historic home, you learn the history of the sugarcane industry, and you learn all about how the cane was processed and how the workers harvested it from the fields. This is a picture of the actual chair that belonged to the Chief Justice, and also we have his law books that he would have had out in Washington, D.C. This is, to my left right here, is a trunk, a traveling trunk that belonged to the Chief Justice, and we have it on display here at the site. Over here is a picture on the mantle of the Chief Justice himself. That picture was recently redone by one of our board members, Mr. Leonard Hingle, who is a photographer here in Thibodaux. Here's Mr. Leonard. He actually had this picture just done, and it was framed by the Louisiana Office of Museums in New Orleans. Leonard, you want to explain just a little bit about the picture?
Well, I started off with this copy here that James was able to get for me from the state. And as you can see, the background is discolored with age spots on it. His hair was kind of washed out. I had my plant restored. And then once I had the final print of an 8x10 restored, then I sent it off to another company who hand painted oil on canvas for me. Comes back to me, rolled in a tube. I take it out the tube, and then I stretch it on a wooden stretcher frame, and then the state provided those frames for me. So that is an original oil painting on canvas. And as far as we know, there's no oil paintings in the family of the Chief Justice or his mother or his father that exist on canvas as an oil painting. So now he's in oils.
So this is a picture of when Edward Douglas White, the home, and they formulated an assembly with the Knights of Columbus in the name of Edward Douglas White, Jr. And that's when the Knights of Columbus were here and they had an honor guard and the presentation was awarded to the house and in the name of the Chief Justice. This is an original hogshead. It's with the molasses product would have been put in and then loaded onto barges. At one point when the Bayou, which was the Mississippi River, was the main method of transporting the product to New Orleans. Later on it went on rail and that was transported to the back of the property and loaded onto the trains. Right here we have some pictures of some of the enslaved people who worked on the plantation and another picture of all the a large number of barrels that were being transported. Right here you have what's called a sugar kettle, and it's where they would have boiled down the juice from the sugar cane into syrup, which we have an actual demonstration of that going on outside as well. Okay, now we're upstairs in this beautiful home, and this would be a replica of what one of the bedrooms would have perhaps looked like back in the day. In this particular room, this particular bed, you would have had a mosquito netting over it to protect against the mosquitoes at night. But this is the E.D. White Historic Site home, and it is a free tour open to the public Tuesdays through Saturdays here in Thibodaux along the banks of Bayou Lafourche. And we welcome you to come to Thibodaux, come to E.D. White, and come learn about the history and the culture that is still so alive here on the banks of Bayou Lafourche.
This segment was brought to you by Barker Honda. It's better at Barker.